Welcome Restoration Druid enjoyers, let's talk about Druid in Raid this time. Let's go straight for the stats. So we are blasting haste. Why haste? Because we are healing mostly with healing overtime effects, and haste is increasing how much this overtime effects will heal. Second reason is we want to use many abilities in short time window, so that's what is haste for. Second priority is mastery, and as the last spot it can be literally just 0, is versatility with critical. If you have 0, sure, I don't think you can have 0. Like on hands over here, huge haste bus, there is versatility, so yeah, not a 0, but if you could, go for that 0, as close as possible. Alright, let's move on talents. There is not so many variations like in dungeons. In dungeons we can play so many things. Convoke is usually better, but it's still Convoke, so with bad RNG it's still better to go 3. But Convoke is preferable. It's same gold of mana with good energy, of course, and also if you proc Flourish with the Convoke, what we are going for in the raid, to get that a little Flourish from it, to get extend healing overtime effects, once again, it's massive buff. So in a case you never proc Flourish and you are really unlucky, 3 would be better, but now we are no longer focusing as before on healing from rejuvenation, because our abundance power is back. So we are blasting to that abundance, we are not blasting that much, just by pure rejuvenation. That's why Incarnation was better in the previous 2 seasons. Little thing over here, if you're playing with big groups, just you can take like 2 stacks of sweepment. I prefer this one because in my experience, when I had enough stacks for abundance, so I was ready to blast regrowth, not many people needed healing, and there were just few of them with a little bit less health, so I was blasting more regrowths on the same targets. So in that case this was great, but you can just take this point out and move it somewhere else if you don't feel like you are using a regrowth on the same target multiple times. In the case you want exactly these talents, link to import it will be in the description, so we can just exactly the same thing. Alright, and our 3. Alright, and our dance. Let's sit. This is serious business. Let's move on priorities, rotation, gameplay, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk a little bit more about mastery. So what is mastery doing? That every single healing overtime effect is increasing all your healing on the same target by 11.4%. Of course, depend on your mastery. In my case, it's 11.4. What I mean? That means we are also applying some heals that are not healing that much, but they are increasing others. I have only logs from dungeons, sadly. But let's say we have this Spring Blossom. We play a talent even in raid, and you can see they heal nothing. The whole dungeon, 30 minutes of healing, they healed 10 millions. It's the talent over here. So it's absolutely nothing. But when you check uptime, so only on me, uptime was 80%. Or it's 17.33. So 17 minutes in the dungeon, healing on me was increasing just with this ability by 11.4%, 80% of time, this 17 minutes. And that's what is very important in Druid, because even little heals that are not important are a huge part of our healing, because they are empowering others through mastery. Alright, and one other thing before we start with priorities. This was quite challenging for me to just set for priorities, because you can just split Druid healing priorities in raid in 2. There's our sustain healing and our burst or ramp healing, whichever you want to call it. So I will start more about like sustain healing, and then we'll jump later on like big burst, big ramp. But of course, this HOTS from sustain healing, we want to have it applied when we are going to burst, so we just click them before. So it's every part of this healing is important. So let's start about our sustain. We should be always doing, so we are applying our circle, our efflorescence under the raid. It's healing, not huge on its own, but what is all about is Spring Blossom. That is also not about its healing, but it's another healing overtime effect that is improving all the other heals. So that's why we want to have this always under the raid, so it's prepared for other heals that are healing much more. It will heal decently on its own too. Just in a case raid is moving too much, just wait for them before they stop moving and then place it again. So not all the time, sometimes it's not worth it because it's not that cheap either, but after raid stops again, place it under it. Second is Life Bloom. Not so huge anymore, but still it's cheap ability that will do a lot of healing, and we have only one. We don't even have on ourselves to improve our healing auto effect, so just choose any target that is dying the most from the raid, so usually tank, and just keep replacing it on him. Nothing more about this, it's just we are getting chance to clear cast that is making our reload free, and we want free in mana in the raid because of mana. I combined two sentences in one, and it's also healing 30% more, but it's just one Life Bloom, not like two in dungeons, so it won't be broken. Come on, it's broken instantly, just to mess with me. But yeah, little extra about Life Bloom. So we have FRS and Life Bloom already. Then third priority on sustain is regrow with clear casting, because hey, it's free, it's completely free, absolutely completely free. So we're definitely going for it. Then fourth priority, I still count this as sustain, because if we are doing more gaps between our bursts or our ramps, we don't want to just let 3 stacks sitting there of Groove Guardians, because they are really cheap on mana, they're not costing global cooldown, they are just great. So in a case you are not going to ramp right now, so you will use them with the ramp, just keep using 1-3 here and there to just not sit on these 3 stacks, because they are cheap on mana and short cooldown. In case you are going to ramp, keep, and then you can use it on the end of the ramp to empower everything. And the last step of our sustain is our Wild Growth, and we usually cast it away the Swiftment. That was nice sound, more about it later. So we use Swiftment before, we will get Soul of the Forest. That will increase our Wild Growth healing by 50%, and then we cast those Wild Growth empowered. And from Wild Growth we have 60% chance to proc, as I got from first cast. That makes our next Rejuvenation or a Regrowth apply to 2 additional allies. We want to use this for Rejuvenation to have our abundance stacks high. So it's better for Rejuvenation, and then we cast multiple Regrowths. So rather to use on Rejuvenation and then we have cheap Regrowths than using on Regrowths, and then we need to spend mana on Rejuvenation anyway. And Swiftment is also extending duration of our HOTS, so ideally on target that have most of them, or on a target that is low health. But usually you are preferring on ramp, you are preferring before they start getting damage, so most people didn't even choose this talent because you are using usually Swiftment on somebody who is almost full, so it's not that much worth it. In that case, using on somebody ideally who got 2 Rejuvenation, if it got also Wild Growth, Regrowth, that's great, but we are focusing on that Rejuvenation extent just because abundance is all we think about in a raid. Right, so these 5 priorities is something we want to always do. Even when like we are chilling, we are saving our mana, we are always doing these 5 priorities. So this is like cut, and now we are going for our bursts, what we are doing, our ramps with the Rejuvenation, Abundance, and the Regrowth. So what I usually mention here, in Season 2 we could always burst, but there also we had the Rejuvenation that could multiply. We don't have that anymore. I quite miss it in raid, but sure, we can live without it and still blast. That means we need to choose our fights. That's how I like to say about DRUID. That means we usually have cooldowns because Flourish and Convoke is just 1 minute. So we usually have something ready. But we cannot heal non-stop because we will run out of mana. Of course, if you are like shorter fights, everybody's out gear, bosses will die fast, or just normal difficulty, stuff like that, we can keep it up. But if you get higher, longer fights, like 8 minutes mythic fights, let's say, then you need to ration your mana, and that means that you need to choose your fights. That means you need to choose when you will be spending your mana. Because like I have cooldowns, I want to use it as soon as possible so they are regenerating. In DRUID, you can also do without cooldowns, quite a decent ramp, quite a decent burst. So in a case you are running out of mana, you need to choose, oh, this is not so required to heal, and I will choose this half minute to just regain my mana with Brat, because we are playing Master Shapeshifter to regain mana, and just do the sustain. Because once again we don't have mana to non-stop blast, but most of the times we can. Just think about, you can take some breaks and choose those breaks wisely, so that breaks nobody need to heal, or rather, like other healers are using their cooldowns, or there is not much to be healed. But I felt in the raid, I was just heroic still, not mythic, but I felt I was blasting non-stop. I didn't need to take some big breaks. I'm just saying it so you don't think that you need to blast non-stop to be good druid healer. You can have some downtime to chill a little bit, reset your mana, regain. Alright, so let's talk about our ramps. What is huge? Our ramp is 3 words: abundance, rejuvenation, regrowth. So what is abundance? Abundance for each stack of existing rejuvenation, your rejuvenation. Regrowth cost is reduced by 8% per stack. Critical effect is increased by 8% per stack. And with the new talent, also reduce cast time of regrowth by 5% per stack, which is huge. Its maximum is 12 stacks. So 96% increase critical chance, mana cost reduction 96%, that is huge. It's costing only 4% mana. That's almost free. And 60% increase cast time. So this is also reason 96% critical chance, and we have also, I think 5% is like default if you have 0 crit. So you have 100 anyway. So that's why this talent is not so popular, but usually when I'm healing some lower single targets, I don't have 12 stacks of abundance. So once again, it's just your choice. I just think other talents are not so great. I'm playing this, but sure, go for double stack. Nature Swiftness or whatever. If you don't feel like this is useful, it's just some little bit more lost talent because it's not so huge, anything you choose there. I mean, our ramp is what? It's blasting our rejuvenations to have as many as possible. Well, ideally more than 12, because that is full stack of abundance. And then in that window before this rejuvenation disappears, we want to cast as many regrowths as possible. They have huge critical, it's really fast to cast them, and they have a huge reduced mana cost, what is absolutely key for druid to keep your mana. So what we want to do to extend this window, our rejuvenation lasts, we are using our flourish. So this is also increasing healing over time effect by 25%. That's cool. Of course we want that, but what is the most important is extend duration of your every single hold that exists by 6 seconds. Why is this important? Because you will spread a lot of rejuvenations, and then you will click flourish, and these rejuvenations will hold a little bit longer, and you can just cast those regrowths like machine gun. This cast time is insane. You are just spamming them, and this flourish is helping you with it. If you don't have flourish, you can use convoke and hope for the flourish. So these two abilities in a ramp, and on the end is our Wrath, because we are playing what? We are playing Master Shapeshifter, so we are casting Wrath to regain mana back. I was calculating, it was 38,750 mana for one cast of Wrath, and as we have huge haste, it will be a lot of mana in short time. So let's talk about our ramp or burst, with also with our sustain healing, like what we want to have prepare all. So first priority to prepare Life Bloom and Efflorescence before you start ramping, so we don't need to bother without it. Then we want to cast our Swiftment with Wild. So the cooldown is ready just before we click it on with Flourish or Convoke to extend duration. Two reasons. One reason because Wild is healing a lot from start, then it's fading. The shorter duration, the less is healing. So when it's extended by Flourish, it's quite a huge healing boost for Wild on its own. And the second reason is Wild has 60% chance to cast those rejuvenations to be on 2 more targets. That is helping a lot with our ramp or burst to split rejuvenations in shorter amount of time. That means we have bigger window to spam regrowths. So I literally, few seconds before I start ramping those rejuvenations, I will just cast Wild and I'm hoping for the proc. I got it, so I will get 2 extra rejuvenation with 1. So then I start ramping it. I'm spamming rejuvenation. I really dare to use Innervate also for Wild because it's quite expensive. So you click Swiftment, then you use Innervate, Castle Valgrowth, and you spam Rejuvenations. Then you are done with Innervate, you are happy with the amount of your Rejuvenations. Your Valgrowth should be coming out of cooldown. If you don't have Swiftment yet, and you really want to start blasting, forget about Swiftment, just cast Valgrowth on its own. Because ideally you want to get extra Rejuvenations for that bigger window. You will cast the Rejuvenations instantly after the Valgrowth, and then you're clicking Flourish. That will extend everything that exists, and that's when you start spamming a regrowth, and that's it. You are just spamming a regrowth while you can. I almost forgot to mention, so about time you are using that Flourish, Convoke, or that second Valgrowth with Swiftment, you want to be releasing all your trees you have available, because that will increase your aura heals massively, and they are healing on its own. Their Valgrowth is counting as mastery stack, so it's increasing through mastery, and then this increase also your rejuvenation, level effort and 10% per tree, and all healing, total healing 5%. So on the end of the ramp, when we are switching from rejuvenations and going for regrowths, that's peak of our ramp. Then we are releasing trees. They are not costing us any global cooldown, so anytime is good, you can squeeze it anywhere. So for abundance, I even have set my big aura that is starting to be shiny when it's at least 10 stacks. So ideally 12, 10 is fine, 8 when somebody is dying, you know, just to help him survive. Some people are less health, but of course 12 is the best because it's the full buff of abundance. So yeah, once again, we are doing our sustain, and then we are using our ramps, our bursts, and we are helping with cooldowns to that burst. That's all we do in a raid. So most of what you heal in a raid will be rejuvenation with the regrowth, and slightly behind it will be Valgrowth. That's our 3 most important abilities in the raid. So let's talk about cooldowns now. We have Nature Swiftness. So Nature Swiftness is making your regrowth instant, free of mana cost, and increase healing by 100%. You can have even 2 stacks if you choose that talent over here. We use this just to save somebody who is low and to improve that heal by a lot, and it's free of mana, so it's good for us too. With Convoke, you can use it because from dungeons we know we use Nature Swiftness, and every single regrowth that will be casted by Convoke to Empowered is not so important in raid, but sure, you can go for it. But sure, if you want, you can combine it, and if you're lucky, it will be a very strong combo. So this buff won't be consumed, but every regrowth will be empowered by this 100%. And then you can just use another regrowth on the end of the Convoke. Well, not on the end, after you finish casting Convoke, then you can spam it. Of course, you cannot cast anything when you're casting or channeling Convoke. Alright, Flourish, we talk about it with the ramp. Our amazing cooldown, it was 100% healing auto effect before. Now it's way less, but it's still extending duration of your HOTS, so it's still very potent cooldown, and it's quite short, it's just 1 minute. Before it was longer. So yes, to extend those rejuvenation and also Valgrowth, and those rejuvenation for abundance, so we can spam regrowths a little bit longer. Then we have Convoke, so you can use it as a replacement of Flourish. But you know, it's RNG, so maybe you don't get it. So in that case, you just wasted it. Another use for Convoke is when you are starting your ramp to just, you know, to kickstart some rejuvenation, some healing or time effects. So that can also help. Third option would be anytime there is needed something to heal, but everything is about our ramps with rejuvenations, so I don't know, I never use it. On some moment, oh, I needed to heal a little bit more, I don't have much prepared, I'll use Convoke. Well, of course you want to use Convoke when somebody is injured, but you know, you want to time it to your ramp too. So then we have Innervate, we also talk about it. Everything is costing free of mana, so ideally when you cast Swiftness before, then cast Valgrowth, because that's one of our most expensive abilities. Also great to use Efflorescence to replace it, because it's instant and it's quite expensive too. And then we are just spamming our rejuvenations. And as the last cooldown we have Tranquility. So what is Tranquility? It's big AoE heals, healing everyone. It's also applying healing over time effect. That is not healing that much, But hey, it's another healing over time effect, so it's increasing all our heals. It's 5 stacks, but sadly it's not increasing your healing 5 times mastery, it's counting just 1 healing over time effect. If that would be counted as 5, whew, that would be great cooldown. But very important part of Tranquility is, while you channel it, it will decreasing all your cooldowns by 20 seconds. Every single cooldown you have. Not trinkets, just your abilities. What that mean? That means if you're casting Tranquility, ideally we want to have Convoke on cooldown, we want to have Flourish on cooldown, we want to have Innervator on cooldown. So we cut 20 seconds from the cooldowns and we can use it sooner. Another thing is we want to cast Swiftment, Wild Growth just before we are using our Tranquility, because Tranquility will reset the cooldowns completely, as the cooldown is less than 20 seconds. So after you finish casting Tranquility, immediately use Swiftment and Wild Growth once again. Also, the more healing overtime effects you have applied before you start casting Tranquility, the better, because they are improving healing from Tranquility and Tranquility is improving their healing. So everything working nice together. But yeah, really remember that Tranquility is reducing cooldown and use that knowledge, because it's huge. When you get reset those cooldowns, you can ramp faster, sooner, better, stronger, more powerful. And on the end, we have damage. You can apply Moonfire on the boss, and we are casting Wrath, and it's also increasing your mana, well, regenerating. That's it, we don't have other abilities for damage. So it's just these two. If you are in a rush, don't even use Moonfire, just cast Wrath, just to get the mana back. So that's everything from me. I hope you will be blasting raid. I was some pug raid this week and I enjoyed it so much. Most healers didn't heal that much and I was healing like a beast. I really enjoyed Wrestle Druid. I think this patch, that last talent to the puzzle, this faster cast of regrowth with abundance stacks, it was the last piece of puzzle to make this really fun in raid, and I really enjoyed this druid in raid, because this cast speed is just allowing us to squeeze much more regrowths, well, much more, 60% more regrowths in the window of abundance. So huge deal for druid raid healing, and I really enjoyed it. It was quite fun, but I was clicking so much. You will be clicking so much. But anyway, that will be everything from me. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. I'm answering usually under 24 hours and I'll be happy to answer you. If you prefer guiding a text, I have every single of them in my Discord. I'm always writing guides first and then I'm recording video with following of that guide. So it's exactly the same points, but maybe you prefer text. It's better for you to remember. So link is in the description on Discord. Everything there is waiting for you. And anyway, thank you for watching. Think about liking and subscribing, it's helping me a lot, and goodbye.